It kind of felt like we knew what was going to happen in that game to open the series against the Guardians, but instead, the Rockies are the team that come up with the timely offense, hang on just enough, and get the W in a nice win, albeit though a crazy one.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 29th day of July in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And of course, we're going to be reacting to the Rockies winning an exciting and thrilling ball game here. And I'm kind of dumbfounded, in a little bit of a way, from a game that I was ready to write it off after that seventh inning. I mean, especially when you're talking about it, just had everything that you're kind of looking for in a classic blown game for the Rockies there. Great start, got just enough offense, but kind of cooled off and wasn't doing a lot there. And then, of course, the seventh inning, back-to-back walks lead into a nailer bomb, tie ball game, and then the Guardians go ahead and take the lead as well. But then the Rockies, one of the things that we can say about the Rockies right now, and I don't think that this was the case at the beginning of the season. This is a team that is playing with more guts, is playing with a little bit more. Hey, we're trying to make some noise. We're trying to do some damage here. We're trying to prove not only the record wrong, but prove everyone else wrong. Prove that we deserve a shot at the table. Prove that we deserve to be in a conversation in a better spot. As Codify pointed out on Twitter there, over the last 39 games, the Rockies have more wins than the Yankees. Just throwing it out there, at least according to them, citing them. So this was a game where, it was kind of was following that script, right? As the Rockies were blowing it, as things were getting ugly, as things were looking bleak there. It was following the same the same script we've seen time and time again this year, and really throughout the past for the Rockies too, where it's just like, oh great, their inability to close ball games, their inability to win, right? The conversation there, the inability to win. And that's why this game is one of those, like, kind of, I don't know, with how few they are, with how meaningless in the big picture this season will be, to call this game a cornerstone game seems a little bit ridiculous, but it isn't, because this was the time where they took on the adversity. They didn't let the adversity overwhelm them. They didn't start throwing the ball away. They didn't start trying to do too much on offense. They were able to continue to, kind of keep that. This is the confidence to stay in the game is a little bit more clear. And again, this was a game that was far from an easy win, especially when you're talking about the fact that Halverson has some walks there in the ninth, and a million of other things that you can point to here. But they got the win this time. This was the example of the Rockies being able to get the job done. And you can point out, as I've kind of been making this joke a little bit here, and it's a serious thing, and we'll kind of touch on it in a little bit in the show here too. Cleveland probably would have liked to have a closer in that situation, a different closer in that situation. And so again, like we've talked about here since the All-Star break, it's about taking advantage of your opportunities. And in this case, the Rockies were really, looking at that same thing where a classic blowing it, blew the late opportunity. The bullpen, which we've said is the strength of the Rockies, but also has a serious, it has an ERA problem, hasn't been as sharp in times and in clutch and in close games and in close moments. But in this one, this was the time in which the Rockies were the ones that responded. They were the ones that came up clutch when they needed to come up clutch. that the Hunter Goodman continues to show why he's continuing to grow into a key piece of this team. We criticized the veterans. I criticized the veterans on the team in Monday's episode, and here they come up with big moments. Kyle Farmer scores 3 runs in this ball game and has a nice defensive play. Orlando Arcia, he it wasn't necessarily doing much, but got a hit and being a factor there and being able to be effective in his position there and getting some defensive stops in there. And then when you're talking about and looking at it, this is where the Rockies got a huge day from their young guys. This is Tyler Freeman comes in here and it's got a total revenge game. He goes 2 for 4 from the top with 3 RBI from the leadoff spot for Freeman. Massive. Mickey Moniak picking up an RBI there in this one, going 0 for 4, but a productive out there. The top of the order, the top 3 in the order here for the Rockies, doing the damage here and scoring 6 out of the Rockies' 8 runs. Exactly what you're hoping for and what you're looking for from that part of the lineup. Hunter Goodman, 2 RBI with another bomb in his back pocket. Jordan Beck picking up 2 hits in this one. So again, it wasn't necessarily the veterans kind of made me completely change my mind, but that was some good stuff from Kyle Farmer. We saw everyone contribute in this one. And again, and they also contributed when they needed to back up their guys. Jake Bird comes in here and doesn't last the inning there and gives up the 4 earned runs, and Victor Vodnik allows an earned run there. But then Tyler Kinley and Halverson come in, navigate and handle the damage there, especially when they're given an opportunity to keep this thing close. In the case of Kinley, when the Rockies respond there in the 8th with that home run to make it a 1-run ball game, and then boom, Halverson wasn't pretty, but he was able to navigate the adversity of that, the challenge of that appearance there with the 2 walks there from Halverson, navigate the 2 walks, get the big strikeout there. Rockies pitching racking up 11 strikeouts in this one. And of course, we haven't even talked about really one of the star of the game yesterday, or one of the stars of the game, Bradley Blalock, who's now been absolutely lights out dominant over his last couple of starts here. And I want to see, I believe I saw Patrick Lyons get it because the broadcast was talking about this as well. So let me see if I can find this Patrick Lyons tweet real quick about just how good Bradley Blalock has been in his last few appearances. But overall, this is a really nice win for this team. This, of course, and we're talking about Tyler Freeman playing with the chip on his shoulder and being a little bit, he's going to want to do damage. Saw Nolan Jones. That's going to be a conversation I think we'll revisit at the end of this one, is kind of revisiting and relooking at the Nolan Jones and Tyler Freeman deal. I think Rockies fans are feeling a little bit better about that one, especially after they saw how this one panned out for them as well. But let me see here. Rockies Bradley Blalock has come back from AAA looking like a new man. This 24-year-old spent 6 scoreless innings against the Guardians, allowing 6 hits with 7 strikeouts. In the month of July, Blalock has a 1.59 ERA in 17 innings pitched, 3 earned runs in 3 starts. And that's from Patrick Lyons. That's awesome stuff right there. That's confidence-building stuff. Nights like this and games like this are when the Rockies can build the confidence. Can build up the confidence and make you feel a little bit better about them avoiding the history here as well. I want to take a moment here, and I just want to continue to highlight the impact of 2 of the young guys here, and why it's such a big moment for both of these guys to be able to break out like this, and just kind of navigate a little bit here. One of the big things, kind of again highlight the successes of this game. And also kind of, realize here that Jake Bird's trade value and the rest of the bullpen, I think that trade value has kind of been taking a couple of hits of late. But we'll be breaking it down and continuing to reflect on a really fun win for the Colorado Rockies coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Gameday Hue. Today's episode is brought to you by Gameday Hue and So is this hat I'm wearing. For Rockies fans like me, this one hits the mark. Gameday Hue makes clean, no-logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. Super easy, and what I like about it is they got a lot of airflow going on up here. So not only it keeps your head nice and cool while also shading you from the sun, and you don't need to just wear it on the golf course. You can take it wherever you want to go. Take it on the maybe out bowling, or maybe just when you're out running errands. It's going to get you confidence because it's sleek, it's simple, and it looks cool. And guess what? It's not just hats. Check out their split shade golf gloves. Look at that Rockies purple right there, made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. That's GamedayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundled deals, so now's the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GamedayHue.com, code MLB15. Get that 15% off at MLB with MLB15 at GamedayHue.com. Locked on Rockies here, as I'm rocking and rolling with you all here on segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked on Rockies. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if you're a team, of course, them Colorado Rockies, thank you so much for joining us here. One of the things that I was really encouraged by about the Rockies here too was, again, not only was it just Bradley Blalock continuing to have a nice solid stretch for the Rockies here, continue to be a solid arm for the Rockies. And I think we got to mention here, at least with the Bradley Blalock thing here, out of those performances here, one of those performances was at Coors Field, that game against St. Louis there. And Bradley Blalock also able to go the furthest he has gone in any game yet in his major league career. That's the type of stuff that we want to continue to see. We want to continue to see these good stretches. And that doesn't mean Bradley Blalock isn't going to have some sort of a bad game, or, for the rest of the season. But this is a moment where you're kind of looking and saying, okay, we have some guys that are ready to prove themselves and take advantage of these opportunities. So as you're going into the trade deadline and you're kind of thinking what options you have, and as you're looking deeper and more down the line here, you got to be feeling at least a little bit more confident and comfortable in some of this. Again, it's far from perfect here. I mean, Blalock's still sitting there with a 7.09 ERA. There's still going to be some issues and flaws there when you're looking deep down there, but what's been really intriguing and nice to see for the Rockies is there has been a couple of instances of guys going down to AAA and then coming back up and having some solid performances. And mixed in with the fact that Warming Bernabel here is comes up and he is taking advantage of his opportunities here. He goes 2 for 5 with that home run in this game as well. And this is the type of stuff that feels good to see when you're Warming. You got to just be sitting there and saying, every day, every moment that I have, every chance that I have to be on this field, it has taken me so long and it has taken so much for me to get here. I have to be ready. I have to be prepared for this moment. And it just feels like he has not been overcome by it yet. And it's the first couple of things. Guys haven't been able to adjust, yada, yada, yada. There's a million, caveats to put there. But it's just that these are the type of the games, and these are the type of the moments where what am I putting those in there for? These moments, these situations, games like this, the roller coaster, the ebb and flow. If this was a game that the Rockies had won, in the midst of a playoff hunt, in the middle of a stretch in which they're competing, we would be jazzed. We would be super pumped up about the implications. This is a good win. Again, even with everything going on with Cleveland, and Cleveland's kind of a weird spot right now. Cleveland has had a weird season, certainly, and that's an understatement when you're talking about the issues they've had to deal with pitching staff stuff. They've had injuries here. They're still 52-54. This is still a team that was at 500 at home before this, and Progressive is kind of an interesting ballpark, those big old tall walls. And man, that Kwan guy, he is awesome. That guy is a blast to watch. He's the type of guy that is an easy guy to watch and an easy fan favorite there. I can't remember who he read that play off the wall there that was just perfectly executed by that, and also just getting the 2 hits there as another strong season under his belt. This was a good team. A good team that's going through it, that's underperformed and stuff, that certainly has had the flaws. But the Rockies just made the trade deadline a little bit more interesting for the Guardians. Again, the Rockies are now, for the 4th series in a row, in a position to win a series. This is the when we're talking about the improvements, talking about things to be excited by, it's the strong Blalock GLIs. It's the strong 2-game appearances from Warming. It's the fact that the Rockies are in a situation here where they're playing better in series openers and giving them chances to win series throughout the entirety of the series, instead of dropping the first 2 and trying to scrape together something in the finale. So it's far from fixed. And this game, obviously, far from perfect. We're talking about a situation here where the Rockies had a multi-run lead late in the ballgame and they blew it again. And we're in a situation where they had to have a 4-run 9th inning to salvage this thing. But instead of me sitting in here and being on the soapbox and fired up and angry and upset about a disappointing and frustrating loss, we're talking about a win, and we're talking about a win that was ignited and sparked and driven by the young Rockies, by the guys that the Rockies are trying to see them step up and have and in these moments, in these opportunities, and have success. And that's what the Rockies had. Again, we're sitting here and, Jake Bird, that just can't happen. And it just, the game was there was a lot of weird elements in the game too. When you're talking about a 2-hour rain delay right off the travel, trade deadline stuff in the background, it certainly can be a weird time. But it's nice to be on the other side of this one. It's nice, the fact that the Rockies were the ones that were really able to spoil that one and seize back that momentum and avoid and navigate and avoid the disaster. Because we've just seen time and time again, the Rockies are the ones that fall victim to the disaster, the horrific inning, the big bad inning. And that was the 7th. And not just the 7th there. I mean, because all 5 of those runs, and then if things getting dicey there in the 9th as well with those walks. But instead, it was keeping calm, it was staying confident in themselves and their abilities, and they got after it. And again, the Guardians bullpen here, when you're looking at some of the numbers, they're not too bad, not too shabby here. The Guardians are certainly a pitching staff that are a club that knows how to develop and have pitchers and get pitchers. But the Rockies were able to tag 3 out of the 4 Cleveland pitchers used in this one for runs. They were able to get 10 hits in this ball game. They were able to avoid striking out, only striking out 4 times, matching the 4 walks that they drew in this, giving themselves the good, the right opportunities. And the Rockies were able to hit the ball out of the yard. When we were talking about the Rockies doing their job, that's what they did tonight. Most people. It was not perfect. But the guys they needed to, the guys that they have been putting into situations to shine, they shine tonight. Highlighted by the fact of 2 guys here and again, I know it's only 2 games for Warming, but 2 bombs to be effective here, to come out and we've seen guys come up and not look comfortable, not look confident, not look like they're in a position to do damage. Right now, Warming Bernabel's batting .364, .417, and slugging 1,000. The sample size is teeny tiny, but we have seen guys struggle when they've come up to the majors this year for the Rockies, and for him not to be in that position is good. It's a good sign for them. And now the Rockies, I believe, are now at 28 wins. So 28 wins here for the Rockies. They're 14 wins away from avoiding being the worst team of all time. And if they can continue playing baseball like they're playing right now, they should be able to do it over the next 50 something games. What is there? 28. So there's 106 games. So what is yeah, so it's like 50 something games left. Was it 56 something? Was I don't know. Math, me, meh. Who needs it, right? But my point is I'm kind of, circling around a little bit here. The young Rockies navigated adversity against a team that's supposed to be, in in a better spot, in a better position, and they haven't lived up to their expectation. But the Rockies were the one that got the job done tonight. The Rockies were the ones that got the W there. The Rockies were the ones that they didn't give up. It would be easy to just get to lean into the woe is me, to lean into the easy thing of, oh geez, here we go again, roll your eyes and kind of just let yourself drift off into the doldrums there of another blown game late. But instead, it's a 4-run big 9th inning. It's good plate discipline. It's timely hitting. It's good performances from most of the pitchers, not all of them in this one. And it's a nice solid dub for the Colorado Rockies. All right, let's put a bow on this one. Let's look ahead to game number 2. And let's just kind of highlight just a little bit of the elephant in the room there when we're talking about the Guardians as well, coming up in segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Locked On Rockies fans, welcome back into segment number 3 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Thanking you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Let's see here. So I want to read a little bit here from the AP's recap of the game here. Tyler Freeman singled home the go-ahead run off Cade Smith as Colorado scored 4 times in the 9th inning Monday night, rallying the Rockies to an 8-6 victory over the Cleveland Guardians after the first pitch was delayed 2.5 hours by rain. Smith, 2-4, moved into the closer role earlier in the day when Emmanuel Clase was placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of Major League Baseball investigation into sports betting. Smith gave up 4 runs, 1 earned, and got only 1 out after entering with a 5-4 lead. I mean, that's a storyline right there. I mean, that is something that if you're Cleveland and you lose this series and you're going into the trade deadline and you not only just lost a possible, trade chip, one of your biggest trade chips there to this suspension, and you were in a situation where you needed your star closer, you didn't have him. And you didn't have him because of a gambling situation and a gambling investigation. But the irony of all of that too is, and I'm not going to go too deep in this. I listen. We have sponsors that are talking sport, and I'm not telling you what to do. But this you can't deny that this can of worms being opened is not related to getting so deeply in bed with gambling stuff. I mean, literally, and this was pointed out. This was not me being, creative and being ahead of the curve here. I saw multiple things on social media pointing out the irony of the Guardians sending out their lineup, and it's brought to you by a gambling company. I thought it was pretty ironic when it's a close ball game and you have gambling advertisement behind on all of the stuff in the ballpark. And this is no easy thing to figure out, no easy thing to organize, but it is an unfortunate can of worms that's huge here. And if you're the Guardians, and for this to now bite you twice and bite you in a situation with someone as important as Clase is in that role at this time, and I mean, there is literally, no worse time for this to be held for this to be handed down there. And you can think the big picture stuff, but just go zoom in on that small picture thing of how it impacted the game there. Of the Guardians having to find and move someone into a new closing role, figured all that out, all having to do that on the drop of a hat with that news dropping that day and them having to be prepared and ready to go, having the rain delay, having things go up and down, having them fight back into the ball game. I mean, there's just so much that kind of just went into that. And it just goes back to the most important thing you can do is be there and be available for your team. And that didn't pan out for the Guardians in this one. And I mean, it's amazing what this game and what this day, the impact on this season will be. It's just been very interesting now that the Rockies have been back-to-back series. The first one, they didn't have to see a closer because he got traded. And then the second series here, they didn't have to see him because of the gambling investigation. This won't be the last time you're going to hear about this. And it could very easily happen to Rockies players. I mean, it could easily happen to any player, anybody at any point. I mean, the gambling stuff is not going to go away anytime soon here. It's just going to be a continue to be a weird and tricky situation to navigate there for the leagues, as they've been, gotten so intertwined. I mean, sports betting and sports, I mean, since the legalization, it has just been a nonstop, nonstop with promotions and it being a part of it. And then it has, and then for it to have so many instances for a lot of the, for now basketball and baseball to be dealing with this type of stuff. Just again, I've placed bets. I sports bet, and I'm happy to do so, and happy to do so responsibly. I just think that this is kind of something we that won't go away. This won't be the last time, and it was just pretty amazing to kind of see that storyline play out on this small scale here in this game for the Rockies and the Guardians now. Okay. The Rockies looking to go for their third series win in 4 series to open up the second half of the season, and we'll see if they can get it done. And hopefully they don't have to wait and go through a huge rain delay here, as Tanner Gordon, he had a nice start out there for the Rockies the last time out. The back-to-back, the Rockies going with their young guys here with Blalock and Gordon and back-to-back. Gordon's 2-2 this year with a 3.13 ERA and 23 innings pitched. He's allowed 24 hits in that time, 13 strikeouts, 6 walks, and only the 2 home runs. So not too shabby there with the home runs, but this is a lineup that's got that power, that's got that oomph there. When you're talking about the Rockies able to, one of the best things they did was keep Jose Ramirez, one of the best players in baseball, off the board. We were talking about Steven Kwan there, but Jose Ramirez, where they were able to navigate. Let me see. I can't remember who exactly was doing the damage there, as I was kind of watching on mute for a bit there. So Jose Ramirez, nope, didn't end up getting an actual base hit. Goes up with the walk and the strikeout there. A couple of guys, tough nights there for Manzanaro and Schienemann. They're both picking up 3 strikeouts apiece. It's great to see the Rockies be the ones throwing those strikeouts, and again, loving to see it from Tanner Gordon, not Tanner Gordon, Bradley Blalock there. Tanner Gordon will be facing off against Logan Allen, who's 6-9 this year with a 4.16 ERA and a WHIP of 1.37 over 100 innings pitched. He's allowed 100 hits in that time, striking out 78 batters in that time, 39 walks and 12 home runs. So again, sitting here when you're like, okay, if the Rockies can get some hits, the same type of thing we've been looking at here. Not the most overpowering thing, but I'm continuing 78 strikeouts there. So strikeouts a factor, but this should be the type of pitcher here. If the Rockies saw the success in Game 1 here, they should be able to replicate it here, ideally, with a guy that hasn't necessarily dominated folks throughout his time this year. Let's take a look how he has gone recently. He's been allowing runs. He has 5 straight games allowing at least 1 run in that time. Has been striking out a decent amount, at least 4 strikeouts in those last 5 starts as well. Went 6 1/3 the last time out, but 7 hits and 8 hits allowed in his last 2 starts. So if the Rockies can we knew what happened in Game 2 against Baltimore, then they played a good close game in Game 1 against Baltimore. Now let's see if the Rockies got to avoid doing the same thing they did against Baltimore, and instead bring that offense, keep that momentum rolling, and get themselves back in the win column for series win number 3, get themselves closer and closer to avoiding that dreaded 41 win total. Folks, we're going to wrap things up here for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, and we're on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies by dropping your comments in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. And folks, for your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and Locked On MLB Game Night, giving you coverage from all the games all across the league. And of course, if you need more Colorado sports coverage, we got you covered there with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and their own YouTube channels as well. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.